We're gonna do Minnie Mouse first. Kaitlyn Robrock.
Hi everybody, this is what we're doing today. The beautiful weather stole my voice. But I'm adorable, so this there you are. Been looking for you.
Next up, we have Mickey Mouse himself, Bret Iwan.
Hi everyone. How dare you? Is this even on? Do you even need it to hear me? No. Good.
Next up, we have the voice of Goofy and Pluto, Bill Farmer.
I know you people.
Oh, his memory's good today.
Oh, good.
I'm having a good day.
Real quick.
And we have fellow voice actor Jason Marsden, who is going to be conducting the panel today. So, Jason Marsden!
Michelle. Give it up for Michelle Atwood, everybody. And Scott Atwood back there. It's their house. And they're invited here in their home, and we're here. We're at home. We're home, right? Yeah! What's up, team?
Actually, Jason, it's called the House of Mouse.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, okay.
It's
Understand.
their house.
I don't even think I'm
The
on.
Mouse House?
That's on purpose.
Is Kaylin's mic on? Aren't we glad?
I don't need it.
Aren't we glad we got you guys at the end of the day, so you sound like Kaitlyn sounds like Kathleen Turner.
I'm Miley Cyrus. Y'all want to buy my CD? I want an award.
What's up, team? Is this weird? Is this weird for me to be doing this to you now?
A little bit.
Yeah. Because usually, I'm here and people are asking me questions, but now I get to focus on you guys. This is great. I love you all so much. I want to start with Kaitlyn because I actually haven't seen Kaitlyn in decades.
Like a decade, yeah.
More than that.
More than that?
More than that. I don't know if you remember this, but Kaitlyn, I met Kaitlyn when I was, the first place I ever got my start was called Del Mar Media Arts in Irvine, California. And they train you for on-camera acting, voiceover, commercial, and they send you on if they think you're good enough. And they kept bringing me back to teach voiceover classes. And in one of the voiceover classes was this amazingly talented young lady, Kaitlyn Robrock.
That's me.
Right here. Yes. Well, also at the same time, I would keep bumping into you at Disneyland because you also are a cast member at Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we both knew Jeff Smith.
We both knew Jeff Smith. And now look at you. You're the voice of Minnie Mouse for crying out teacups.
Who knew, huh? No. Yeah.
So I was trying to get as I taught her everything she learned is from me. Yes. What's it been like? I mean, come on. I mean, tell me what it's like. You're the voice of what was the audition process like? And then you landed. Tell me all the feelings.
Well,
Okay, good, it works.
well, the dictionary defines savant as somebody of incredible repute and renown. It was an audition like any other that comes through our different agencies, and this was something I knew I wanted for years and years and years. And I discovered I could do it while I was working at Disneyland when our Christmas parade would come in and Mickey and Minnie were ice skating on this float. And we were so familiar with their script that when she came in, I did her line at the same time she would do it. And then my coworker was like, that's really freaky that you can do that. You sounded just like her. And I thought, really? Okay. And just practiced every chance I got on like any clips on YouTube or any of the theme park shows that I could try to work on, and just kept practicing it. And then after Roos's unfortunate passing, some time was spent to mourn her, and I needed time. And then the audition came out, and we had to do 15 lines with references, 10 lines that are completely brand new, and then sing a song. And so I worked on it all week, and I had my friends come to is this sounding correct? Be honest with your ears. And then the on reference line, 3 of them were like, oh, I know what that's from. So I'll just watch that little program as well for a little taster. But I felt really good about it, and we submitted it, and then you just kind of let it go. And then about a week later, they said, Disney wants to see you for a callback. And we go in for the callback, and it was the most anxious week of my life, because it was something I wanted so badly. And this is it, because this is a one and done. These voices are such legendary characters that, we have one voice for as long as possible to keep that continuity, to keep that magic alive, and this was it. And I just freaked out the entire week, and then it was the D23 Expo that following weekend, and somebody who was involved in this process, I had passed them at the Expo, and they were like, oh, hi. And they came in for a hug and they said, congratulations, it's looking really good. And then he walked away. And like, I'm gonna have a stroke. And I just spent this whole time freaking out. And it's like, well, now I'm freaking out for the opposite reason. What do you mean congratulate? What does it mean? It definitely helped me enjoy the rest of my weekend that I paid for. And then I got the second call back the following week. And it was just like the first one. And then they said, okay, we're gonna send you to Disney TV next week. So I thought, yes, third call back. Bret had like 4. Or, you know, that's normal. This is how it goes. Because he was so good that no one believed him. Like, they're like, you didn't find someone as amazing as Bret. And he's like, I'll prove it to you. You said you had 4.
Oh.
Maybe I
Which
was on
YouTube interview are you watching?
Straight offer.
Which one did you do? I think we learned
Dad,
about
it's
something.
okay.
We'll get to my story a little bit.
Okay. Well, falsely, I thought there would be 4. So, so I went and I thought it was a third one right out the gate, and I didn't find out till I got there it was the job. Because they wanted me to sign paperwork, and I'm like, you don't sign paperwork at an audition or call back. And they're like, no, it's the gig. Actually, they're ready for you now. So I had no time to freak out, but like, where was that shining moment when Sandy would call and say, hey, kiddo, congratulations, you know, tasteful crying, you know, nothing worked out like my fantasy. You know, where's the banner? Where was the confetti? Nothing. And we walk in, and there were like 15 people in there. Like a couple people I knew from TV, our director, our engineer.
Name them all.
John, Paul, Ringo, George. They were all there. And so we did a couple of projects, and we were melding in, and out of the corner of my eye, like, okay, I'm gonna look at my director, and I'm gonna make a joke here or two, look how fun I am to work with. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see like 3 people in suits who didn't say a word this whole time, get up and leave. And I'm just like, oh my God, what's happening? And I found out way later that they were people who were like, you know, who, did you really find someone after this short amount of time? And halfway they're like, oh, okay, we approve. And then they just left. And I've never seen them since. I don't even know who they were. I didn't know anybody in that room. But after we finished, I thanked them. Thank you so much. This is like a true honor. Have a wonderful weekend. And then I drove home and called my mom and cried happily, and then bought like $20 of Chipotle and watched Parks and Rec. Because I'm worth it. And I was like,
And you watched what?
Parks and Rec. I was like, I guess I got it. Because when you're an actor, 99.9% of your auditions are a no. Your job is to audition. And then if you get the gig, bonus, you get to play. And it took me a long time to accept. They said yes. And I just assumed I'm on a trial period. And then on the year mark, I was like, and essentially like, hey, today's my year anniversary. I just kind of wanted to say that. And they're like, oh yeah. And I asked them like, do you think the trial period's over? And they said, oh, that wasn't a thing. They just said that to make sure you wouldn't, I don't know, get a big ego. I don't know. I was like, I would never. But they effectively scared me. I didn't tell anybody for like well over a year until like something credited came out.
Amazing. Well, I congratulations. I didn't get a chance to congratulate you.
Yeah.
I recognized the name. I was like, who's, because we heard about Rusi. I was like, well, who could possibly? And Kaitlyn Robrock was like, oh my gosh, Kaitlyn Robrock, outstanding. So congratulations.
And I didn't tell anyone that I was auditioning because I had to know if this is something that's meant for me, I have to get it on my own. I don't want any handouts. I don't want any nepotism. I didn't tell a single soul. I just submitted it and like, this is all I can do. And hopefully my reputation and my work ethic and my passion for this is gonna do the job.
Is she doing it right? Have you heard that?
Well, not right now you haven't, but
Bret,
I swear I can do
Reality.
it.
What?
Bret said
It's reality.
Oh, I
You're
thought you
losing
said
your voice.
banality, and I'm like, oh.
Banality.
Yes.
Jason.
Bret. So I don't know if the audience knows, but their predecessors, Wayne Allwyn and Lucy Taylor, you know they were married in real life. Yes. So Bret and Kaitlyn, maybe?
And how many times do I gotta say maybe?
Weird. Bret,
Oh yeah, that guy.
yes. When you get the job,
Yeah.
like I think I've asked you this before, like I'm imagining like suits, like the people, like the 3 guys in the dark suits come in, take you in a room, sit you down, be like, all right, look, don't mess this up. You gotta, they tell you the do's and the don'ts. Were you intimidated? Tell us about what happened when you landed the gig.
Intimidation is I mean, an understatement, right? Yeah, like you mentioned, I came in after the legend that was Wayne Allwine. And so, not to mention Jimmy McDonald and Walt Disney himself. So there was a lot to live up to, and I was fully aware of that history, that legacy, and I wanted nothing more than to respect it, but also, you know, earn my place in this role. So yeah, intimidated is an understatement. The do's and don'ts, you know, I get asked that a lot, and it's very surprising. I did not have the CIA experience that Kaitlyn had. You know, people are always like, oh, your contract must be a mile long. And I say, I don't have a contract, actually. I always say it's very much common sense. And I guess I was lucky enough to have such an awareness of not only Mickey, but the company and the brand and what it stood for and what would be appropriate and wouldn't, that I've kind of just been led by common sense. Like, don't mess this up. Because like Kaitlyn, you know, this is something that means so much to me, and it was not a goal I had to specifically voice Mickey, but it was a goal of mine to be a part of the Disney magic. And so never imagined having this chance, but now that I've got it, I'm gonna sure as heck be sure to maintain it as long as I can. So yeah, it really is just, you know, when you, like Kaitlyn mentioned, when you work with these characters the way we do, you get to know the ins and the outs. You know everything about them, and that includes what they would and wouldn't say, how they would and wouldn't act. And you become an ambassador, not only of the Disney brand, but of these characters specifically. And so, you know, you have to take that into mind, and truly, I think it's just a respect thing. You know, you grow to, if you didn't already love these characters, you love them, that you respect them in a way that it's like, I don't need a suit to come in here and show me a list of, here's the do's and don'ts of voicing Mickey, or being the voice of Mickey. Just kind of...
It does exist though, because they gave me a packet.
Did they really?
Yeah, it was a do's and don'ts of Minnie, like certain.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They gave me a list. They didn't give you guys a list.
No.
Man, I'm special. But oh yeah, they have this whole dictatum of like what she can and can't say. Like she doesn't say everybody, she says everyone.
Oh,
or
no.
and every
I
so
haven't
often,
gotten
I'm like, and we know what the commonalities. So I've gotten the scripts of like she'll say oh gosh, and I'm like,
No.
I don't say oh
No,
gosh.
I refuse to say everyone.
I say oh goodness.
There was one event that they had Goofy and Max and Mickey and Minnie do a press tour at the parks, and I got a package of like, you know, you don't promote the parks. The characters don't actually promote the parks. You can't say, you know, curse and stuff like that. But so I was wondering, like, you know, especially as Mickey, this legendary character,
Yeah, I mean, if they did, maybe they implanted it without me knowing.
they knew they didn't. They knew they didn't have to because
Like,
you're based.
I picked up stuff along the way.
Mine's
so.
framed. Like I thought it was a special thing. It's in a texture box and it's framed. It's proof. Thank you.
Bill Farmer, is
Sorry,
it?
that's so funny.
Yes, we met. Oh, seems familiar. Billy, I love you. I miss you so much.
I know.
He doesn't miss me. You hear that? Yeah, I know. That's where we're at. Whatever. Get out of the house, kid. How are you?
Hey, we're trying to get you out on your own.
Yes.
So, you know.
What's going on with you? I want to ask you like the usual. We'll turn over to questions from the audience. I'm trying to break in something here. But tell us about your time on RoboCop.
On RoboCop. That was back in Dallas before I even moved to California in 1986.
BG, before Goof.
Before Goof, and that was the first movie I ever did. And I just, they were doing this movie, and I went in for an audition as a on-the-street reporter. And that was it. And I remember the scene, it was a nighttime scene, and I remember my dialogue, actually, because I ingrained it. It took me 3 weeks. I was just pounding it in my head so I wouldn't forget it. And I said, terrorism has never been a factor in this city's politics before, but all that changed today when former city councilman Ron Miller entered City Hall with a gun. He's now upstairs in a second-floor office holding Mayor Clifford Gibson and his staff hostage. It is believed that he's killed one or more of the hostages. Lieutenant Hedgecock, what's next? You know, and I did that, and on the set, I had to back up, and they had all these cop cars swinging in behind me, because it's right when RoboCop comes out on the street and the mayor's being held up in this office and everything. And I did that, and the director said, no, that's too fast. Cut this, and this, and let's go. I just spent three months learning this. And it was like at 1:30 in the morning in August in Dallas, and it was 96 degrees, and Peter Weller was like, after every take, they'd blow air up his sleeve because he was like ready to faint. And
Or it was in his
I'm gonna
contract.
get out of this. So I've been doing stand-up at that time, and I was traveling, and so my wife and I decided, we're gonna give it a shot in Hollywood. And I went out to Hollywood and was out there about 4 or 5 months when they said, do you do any of the Disney characters? It was as simple as that. Yeah, Goofy's my favorite, and gosh, I can do it. And, but
Every time.
and all I got was a cassette of the original voice. Practice this over the weekend, let's lay it down
that
on
Pinto?
Monday. Yeah, Pinto Colbig. And I practiced it, went in, and about a month later, they said, they'd like to use you. And for one thing, it's not like you're going to be the voice forever now. It was for one show called Disney's Doggone Valentine. I had one line of dialogue, 2 picture, which is called ADR, and I'd never done that. I was totally terrified. I went in, and absolute truth, that day I met Tony Anselmo, the voice of Donald, and he's an animator too. And he was drawing Donald on a page, and it was beautiful work, and I can't draw a stick figure. And I thought to myself, literally, I thought, well, we don't have to draw these guys too, do we? I'm in trouble. I said, oh, just talk like them. Okay, that's it. So I did this one line to picture and everything, was terrified. You never know. They don't say, oh, we love what you do. It was just kind of a test, I think. And about a month later, they used me on another show for a couple of lines of dialogue after that. And they weren't doing any real serious work at that time. It was before that. So it was like every month or so, I'd get maybe a little gig. And after about 6 to 8 months, I said, this might be something. So I had my wife come out from Dallas because I had gotten an apartment in Hollywood. And they just kept calling me, and now 38 years later, I think I got the job.
Well, you're ups with us, man. I mean, you have achieved legend status. You're an official Disney legend. I think you have the gig. But yeah, it's funny. It's like people think like, oh, I mean, you're the voices here, you're employees, you get free tickets all the time. It's no, we're still freelance.
Yeah, independent contractors, no contract.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, they could replace us tomorrow if they wanted.
But they're not gonna, because you guys are outstanding. All right, look, you guys got them all to yourselves right here. What's a burning desire? Any question that you want from sir with the hat? Yes, sir.
Brett, how long did it take you to do that painting that you did for that we saw at D23?
Yeah, because Bret is also a ridiculous, amazing artist as well. Yeah. How long? You did a painting at D23?
Yeah, he's referring to, I had the honor of painting Mickey's official portrait for his 95th birthday this year. It's only the 8th official portrait of Mickey that's been done. How long did it take me? Good question. I don't remember. I just remember it took me a long time, and I made sure to take my time because it was a very intimidating, and that word intimidating. I am trying to make it a requirement that you have to also draw the characters that you voice.
Well, I can go back to radio.
I've actually given Bill some lessons. He seems to forget. He does well at first, and then he forgets.
Yeah.
But-
Billy did he show you? He did like a Michelangelo.
Oh, yeah,
But it's
I know.
goofy. But that.
Vitruvian.
Yeah, I remember, yeah. That's a whole other story about an event we were both at, and his painting sold instantly, and I'm there like, $10. Anyone? Anyway, I've been an artist as long as I can remember. I grew up and I actually learned how to draw by drawing Mickey. So I grew up looking at the art of Disney books and always studying the Mickey portraits that had been done. It was a tradition started in 1953. At the studio, there was a contest, and John Hench, legendary Disney animator and Imagineer John Hench, was the first one to do it. He did the first 5, I believe, or 6. So anyway, I was fully aware of that legacy, and as I was painting mine, at first I was just like, oh, you gotta make this look good. And then I got caught up in the notion that there's going to be a little kid like me looking at what I did and being inspired and dreaming of one day getting the chance to do this. And once I connected with that moment, the pressure was already intense, but it got even more so. I think as an artist, like your work is never done. So when I had to hand it over, I got to be a part of the event in London. It's actually on tour right now with the Disney D100 exhibit touring overseas, and it's in London, so I got to go out for that opening. And it's a press event, and I'm standing staring at it, and I was like, I need to fix that. That's like, thankfully it was behind glass, so I couldn't, but I would still happily like modify it.
Well, it was awesome.
But thank you, yeah, it took a long time. It took forever to answer your simple question, sorry.
My friend Alon, who was here, he's a Disney animator. He was teaching drawing. He's like, when you feel like you're 90% done, that's when you're done. Otherwise you got to walk away, otherwise you'll nitpick it. Yes, Kim Possible.
I know for animation you have to do many takes. Can you remember do you know what your record is for number of takes that you've had to do for one line?
So when you were really sucking that day, and you just couldn't get it right, can you relive that moment?
I think the most I've ever had to do is like 3 takes on one line.
In like the audition or the session?
Session.
Okay, I think we're at 17. Well, it was just like, it was this paragraph. They give me these paragraphs, and they're fun, but we were trying to find a way to articulate it because it was just so, what do they call it?
Well, there's a rhythm to Minnie as well.
Exposition.
Okay,
Yeah, she has a rhythm, and she had the charge of like, we have to give this exposition, and it was like one run-on sentence that was 5 lines in the script. And so we did through it, like most of them were flubs. And then we do it with different inflections, different ways. And then Kelly, our director, was like, try it like this. And I do it through. He's like, okay, forget all that. That didn't work the way I thought. So like in total, it was this one chunk in this one episode, like 5 months ago. And it took us 17 takes. And then I think we went back in the pickups and changed the whole thing. But
it wasn't working for a reason.
It wasn't working for a reason. And they say fix it in post, and they mean it. So I never worried too much. If something's really not sticking, we'll come back to it later, or fix it in post.
I think I was with you when I did the most of anything.
I can think of a line.
I think it was the one where Goofy's asleep and Max, and he wakes up and just says, "How many cups of sugar does it take to get to the moon?" I did it like 20 times or something like that.
And not to a disservice, like I was joking, like sometimes it's not like they're sucking, but it's like we're exploring like how do you make this line work, and how do you make a line like that work? Because I remember, because it was for feature film, Kevin, our director, was like, how do you say it? And we tried, and you weren't doing bad. We were just exploring, but you must have recorded that line for like a good 30 minutes.
Yeah, and over. The most I've heard of was with Wayne Allwine as Mickey Fantasmic.
Yes.
Where he said, some imagination, huh? And I think Wayne said that he did that like 86 times. And he said they took take number 2.
Yeah, and that was back in the day when it was all recorded on tape.
Yeah.
And so they had done these 80-something takes, and the Rick was helping, I think, in that session. He goes, I think you got it back there on like take 2. So they had to go like, probably a while.
Yeah.
Some imagination, huh?
That's it.
I don't have a number for mine, but similar to you mentioning a time frame, we just had a recording session for some songs recently, and it was just one note I could not get. And it was 30 minutes, and they're like, just one more time for 30 minutes, trying to like, I'm like, guys, I'm not gonna get it. Like, just either rewrite the song or auto-tune it, because 30 minutes, and we had like a lot more to do.
Bring in
so.
Jim Cummings.
Yeah, exactly. Good question.
Good question. Yes, sir.
Do you guys get to work as an ensemble very much, or is it mostly isolated?
No, when we started, my first series was Goof Troop, and we were all in the studio at the same time, because we were recording the 24-track tape. But as technology advanced, it got a lot easier, because Bret's so busy all the time, and so he can't be there on Tuesday at 2 when everyone else can. So we have to, but it's just a lot easier to schedule Kaitlyn at one time, me at another, and during COVID, I started recording at home in my home studio, which I'm still doing to a large degree. And I just get my lines, and I have, sometimes if you're first in the booth, you don't even have a reference to how did they say it, what's going on, and the director, Kelly Ward, has to say, okay, it's a little more intimate, or they're out in the woods, or he's yelling up at Mickey in a balloon, or whatever,
Don't
which gives you an
frighten the
idea of what you do in the acting style. But it's just, now it's usually just like 3 quick takes of a line, and B, let's go on to the next line. And so you just do it as a series of lines, and we don't get to do it ensemble anymore.
And as much as you learn your own character, you've also learned your ensemble. And so I can imagine how Bill's going to read a goofy line. I can imagine how Kaitlyn's going to. But you do run into some weird situations, like for instance, we're working on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse right now, the reboot of it. And something as simple as, "This calls for a mouse catul. Everybody say, oh, toodles." And then they all echo, right? So I come into the session and they've all recorded. And so I do it and they're like, oh, actually, no, we need to listen to how Bill did that. And he's like, oh, toodles. I'm the one who's supposed to lead this. Why am I having to do what Goofy did now? Make him come back.
And they read me in a lot with Tressa's work as Daisy when I first started. So it was like she was.
Wait, you're doing Daisy too?
No.
You were? No, wait. Oh, I thought.
No. Like when I would record my lines, if I'm talking to Daisy,
gotcha.
Tressa had already recorded
Wow,
for Daisy.
me too. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go.
They would play me in with Tressa's work, and it was like she was right there with me. And like I've seen her a few times in the wild, but I told her, like, even though we've never met before, I feel like I've known you for well over a year, just because she was with me in the booth, guiding me for all these different projects. And then there was one episode we did a while back. It's aired now, but we're in a dream, and everyone's voices have changed to different bodies. So Mickey's voice comes out of Minnie, and Minnie's voice comes out of Mickey, and the voices came out of different characters. So we had to act like Mickey, but in Minnie's voice. So I had to remember, like, well, gosh, how did that happen, Yeah, say, ha-cha-cha. You're here. But I really enjoyed that one, because I do impressions of them in the booth all the time. I do it for Jim, I do it for Tress, I do it for Cuckoo Look. I do all of their voices in there, just because I can. And I kind of want to be like, okay, give me one page and I'll go through it. And then we got to that episode and I was so excited, like, can they just keep bopping around into each other's bodies so we can all do these voices? No, Kaitlyn, go home.
Yeah, we do Kaitlyn impressions too.
Yeah, do it.
Hi everyone, it's
It's like I'm looking in the mirror.
Mickey.
Oh, Mickey.
See, it's so sad because I hardly ever work with other actors anymore. But this is what it's like. It's just a lot of cutting up, a lot of.
They're like, okay, we're about out of time. Can we record this?
I've been in sessions where they will separate us if it gets too jokey as we're killing time here. You had a question, young lady. Yes.
Besides the characters you voice, do you have another favorite character that you would like to voice?
I would love to do Ava Gabor. I love Miss Bianca, Duchess, and I loved Witch Hazel, both Disney's version and Looney Tunes growing up. And Bea Benaderet was the first Witch Hazel in the Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel.
But I loved her in that one. So I always and June Foray, of course, is a phenomenal. So we love June, but I love Bea so much. So her character, her version of Witch Hazel, the Trick or Treat Witch Hazel, or Ava Gabor, I would love to do that, or Madame Mim. I love those types of crazy, wacky characters. So you never know what the future will hold, but just because what projects might come down the line, but those would be wonderful to do. Like I loved like Jeff Bennett growing up, or Corey Burton, or Jim Cummings. They could do so many characters, and it felt like that's the dream, to be in that family. Yeah.
And Kaitlyn's phenomenal at all those. I mean, she's one of those voiceover talents that's, beyond.
I would share it with you now, I truly would.
You just have to take our word for
Come
it.
early tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Bring tea.
As I say, me on the other hand, I'm a one-note wonder. I do Mickey and that's it. I did recently audition for, I don't know if I can say that, shoot.
Did you sign an NDA?
No.
If it could rhyme.
So I think everyone knows that the Country Bear Jamboree is getting a refresh, and so I did audition to be Melvin and Marvin, the two of the taxidermied heads. So I just thought that would be such a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, there was an NDA for that, so I don't tell anyone.
You never know.
It's done. I didn't say whether or not I got it. I didn't. Spoiler alert, I didn't get it.
They usually do like a scratch track and then like will it fit for the project, or it goes through so many hoops. But I actually did the scratch for Trixie and Ted Ibarra, so hopefully it passes muster and it can stay in the right because I really want it. But, just a couple lines, but the singers are all these beautiful Tennessee singers. Because I even checked, like, what do you think about them coming down the pipe? And they're like, the women out there are gorgeous. And Gray Griffin, who does Red the Pirate in the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? She lives in Tennessee sometimes. She has a home out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if like she's involved with it too, because she's a phenomenal singer. And they're there every summer, I think. Yeah, you know her.
We live together.
Here you go.
Billy, what about you? Any burning roles that you?
Oh gosh, I've been very fortunate.
Are you unsatisfied with your
I've done
character?
a lot of stuff. A lot of incidental characters. I love the very obscure things.
Yeah.
I got Mickey in the Roadster Racers. I've done about 30-some characters.
Yes.
Incidental characters, but
Tell them about Beauty and the Beast.
oh, Beauty and the Beast, probably the most obscure thing I've done. When Gaston is singing about decorating with antlers in the bar and everything, he throws 3 eggs up in the air and they go. I'm very proud of that. I have eggs on my resume.
Patty?
Just remind Bill, the audience does not know, Bill also did the voice in one of the very first Star Wars fan films, Troops.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was the announcer. Troops is I did the
All
announcing on
suspects
that.
are
We did that
guilty.
we recorded that in my studio at my house, actually.
That's right. I remember that. It was like cops, but
Yeah.
Stormtroopers. Hi. Yes.
So I like to do impressions as well.
That's great. Anyone got it? No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm just being a jerk right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you guys, with your friends, use your voices to say like just inappropriate jokes with your friends?
Yes. No, thank you for the question, but no. We talk about respect of our characters and our current careers, so we do not. No, there's a few advice floating around somewhere, yeah. I mean, we used to in high school and all that stuff. I'd do impressions and stuff. That's how I started. And we'd drive through places like Burger King, and I'd do, I'd like a Whopper with cheese. They'd look out, I'd get laughs, and that's how it started.
You guys use your talents for nefarious reasons?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't know me.
Again, it's like I said, common sense. Like,
There's this term that goes around called no filter, so I don't know what people are all of that about. But like with Minnie, I'm very tender. Like she's Minnie, so she's taking it. Like any other voices I've done in other projects or just goofing around at home. But like if we're cooking, now you're still Mrs. Christie, idiot. So, but I'll goof around with other voices as well, just to make my roommates laugh or to just kind of startle somebody for no reason. And usually when I do meet people and I'm normal, they don't often believe, like, wait, that voice comes out of this? Because I sit fairly low in general, but then I just bring it up, and when I do the voice, then they start crying. And like, I like when they cry because it's like, oh good, I've touched you emotionally, because that's what I want to do unto others as has been done unto me. Like not, wait, stop, be nice.
that's the goal. I just want to make you cry.
Because there's performances that I can't watch The Land Before Time because I'll cry my eyes out. But it's a movie you have to see at least once because it's so good. And that's what we all strive for as actors and animators. We want to create something that you are experiencing. You're not just watching it, you're experiencing it. And that's one of the great connectors. And like when we get to meet you, that's how we met. Like you were willing to meet me, just a random fan, and
They hired me to.
but like it's like we get to talk to him, and like he'll give me like an honest, yeah.
That was when I've been at dinner many times with Bill, and the word will get around to the kitchen and the servers that Goofy's in the house, and they'll come up, and Bill is always kind enough to do the voice for them, and you just watch it like burst into confetti is my description. It just never gets old, even for me.
It's odd to do these characters because I don't say I am Goofy. I say, I get to hang around with him a lot. I'm not famous, Goofy is.
Sure.
And it's interesting the way that when you do that familiar a voice to someone, that it takes them somewhere.
Yeah.
It takes them to, a Goofy movie or whatever. And I'm sure probably the most, popular thing I've ever done is a Goofy movie. And even that was 28 years ago. Can you believe that?
And it's still very relevant.
Yes. And it's still that popular that without every con that I've ever done, Comic-Con, people will say, I couldn't talk to my dad, or, that became our song and our movie, and we bonded over it. And that's really the heartwarming thing.
Yeah,
I know you guys.
And all the kids who watched it, they're now in charge of creating these dreams in the company. If you go to Toontown out in Disneyland, they've revamped it, and you go inside Goofy's house, there's photos everywhere in his house of him with baby Max, meeting Mickey and Minnie. Max with Huey, Dewey, and Louie, like in Chipmunk Wood Scouts. Grandma Goofy, and one of Max and Goofy doing the Step Brothers pose. Like the picture, they're wearing the sweaters. But it's so cute and it's so relevant. And they just put in a new power line tarp in the tree house, and I was like, yes, it's power line. That was such a big deal.
Speaking of the kids, young lady, what's your question?
What was your favorite line you ever done?
Favorite line you ever done?
Wow.
Oh. There was an episode of Mixed Up Adventures. Daisy goes to see her grandmother. Her grandmother's not there. She thinks her grandmother is kidnapped. And she finds a costume of her favorite superhero. Grandma had made it for her for a costume party, but Daisy thinks, oh my gosh, my grandmother is the superhero. So now I have to be the superhero and go save her. And she's telling Kukuloka and Minnie about, like, you guys are gonna be my sidekicks and you're gonna do your powers. And Minnie's line was, how do we do that? And the way Minnie would say it, of course, would be like, how do we do that? And I just gave him the take of, how do we do that? And that's the one they kept. And that's my favorite thing. So because it's so Kaitlyn, like I would be like, please Daisy, tell me. What has your brain told you today? It's my favorite thing, because that was when Kaitlyn kind of came out a little. Because I know what she would have done, but it was just so fun. Go watch it. Now, pull up your phones, open your Phantom Wing or something. Oh, I even remembered it. But I love that. I'm amazing, you guys. So cute. Humble.
Did we work on that?
I don't know.
Like,
If you did.
How do you remember this stuff? I'm so envious of your memory.
I
don't know where I was yesterday. Let alone what I did on episode 229 of Mixed Up Adventures. That's impressive.
I've no doubt I'm neurodivergent, and I know for real, I'm sure I am, I just haven't been diagnosed. But like, I'll lock on to things that just make you laugh, that strike a pose with you, or you'll hear something and then you'll quote another movie because it just led you right into it, and it just sticks with you. But that was such a core moment, because it's like, I got to play, I got to be me, and it was just that first incidence of like, I get to become her, she gets to become me, I get to feel like I'm inhabiting her. And then, that's when it felt home for me. That's when it felt like I belong. I'm allowed to be happy, I'm allowed to have this. And that means so much to me, you guys. It does.
I think, but you're getting emotional because I think I can speak for all of us. The joy of these characters is that they are tied to so much emotion for the audience, but also for us. And I may not be able to recall one single line that's my favorite. I often always, and I've already done it, but what?
I have one for you.
What is it?
Do you remember, we made these little stop motion holiday bumpers like in 2019.
Yeah.
Just little 3-minute things. And the first one ends where they're ice skating, because the Christmas Magic made an ice skating rink. And then the second one, it melted. And Mickey just goes, well, now it's just a wet floor. You said it was so good. Pull up YouTube, type it in. That's my favorite thing you've ever done.
Well, now it's just a wet floor. What am I supposed to do with this?
And he just kind of stares at it. It's the best.
I mean, yes, I was amazing in that. I don't remember. But I was gonna say, similar to that, I may not remember the actual line, but I remember a lot of the emotions behind it. I reference a lot of times working on Fantasmic for Disneyland and now at Hollywood Studios. That show has just been near and dear to my heart, so being a part of that is phenomenal. But often, this is really cheesy, but in those holiday specials we were doing, I had just lost my dog, which was like my love of my life at that point. And so those interactions between Mickey and Pluto were always, and then in that short especially, Pluto just wants to play with Mickey and Mickey's distracted decorating for ornaments. And it really was tying into a moment I had in life where I felt very distracted at the end of my dog's life. I wasn't giving her the attention I wanted to. And so seeing Mickey and Pluto kind of be able to repair that, and in the end, Mickey makes a point to spending time with Pluto, and he's like, I've got one more surprise for you, Pluto. Fetch! Woo! And
down, boys. Yeah, that's a good point. In a Goofy movie, I mean, there was a lot of emotion that we had to add to the characters that we never had to do before. And you, as Goofy's son, I had to call on something, so I was substituting my son, Austin, for Max, because I knew I had the emotional connection with Austin, and so if I was talking to Max like I was to Austin, even in Goofy's voice, it worked, and we could find the balance, an emotion that we'd never had to add with Goofy. And we had to add that and still make it Goofy. It's not too me, it's not too Goofy. Yeah, that it played true. And that's where I found the emotional life in that character. And so.
Was there a favorite line in that experience? Was there a favorite line in that experience that you can share with this young lady here that you remember?
Oh my gosh, there were a lot of, like their hot tub scene with Pete. Or actually, when we were on the car going down the river, and what did I say? Is something like, I'm not a kid anymore.
But you kid anymore, Dad.
Well, I just wanted to be part of it. That emotional scene that we did. And but there's so many lines over the years. I mean, thousands of lines we've done, and they all mean something. But when it means something to an audience, and when you get to see something in front of an audience, with an audience, it's so impactful to me. I love that.
Absolutely. I love talking to you guys. This is good. So it's like 4:45. We have time for maybe one or two more. I know. My gosh.
Speed round.
What's up? What's going on? Speed round.
Just a quick question for Kaitlyn.
Just for Kaitlyn. Yeah.
Did you by chance have the opportunity to meet Lucy Taylor?
I did. I call it my 3 strikes. No, that's not right either, but it's 3 times. But there was a society function shortly after Wayne's passing, and she came down the line and said hello everyone, and I just froze. I didn't know what to say or what to do, and I bummed. And then she came to Disneyland a couple of years later when I was working there, and she did a conservatory for the cast members, and I begged and pleaded, give me the night off, I have to go see this person. And I did. And again, I couldn't say a word. I was crying the whole time, but I at least got out, thank you so much for all you do. And I have pictures. And I'm just this tiny little baby. And then we met a 3rd time, which I kind of pretended was the first time, because I felt like, okay, I earned the right to be here. At June Foray's memorial. Katie Lee, who's a phenomenal voice actor in her own right, she introduced us because they've known each other for decades. And I didn't say a word about voiceover. I just said I work at Disneyland and I work with Minnie. And she said, protect our girl. Truly, she said that. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God. And my coworkers who helped Minnie at the theme park, I was more excited to tell them, hey, I have a message from Rusi. Because they knew each other as well, and it just, times had changed. But I was so excited to do that, but then she said it. And then when it came back to me years later, Renee presented me one of Rusi's bracelets. And I wore that bracelet to every session because I was terrified that I was gonna mess it up somehow. So I would wear the bracelet, and I just remember like, come on, girl, help me out here, protect our girl. And I wore it for 6 months straight, and it's in my treasure box now.
And I've got to add that I worked with Brucey since I started. She started about the same time I did. So from 87 to, she passed away in 2018. So what's that? That's about 30 years, whatever. And Wayne to 2009, I worked with them. And still, when I hear a reference, okay, we'll do the lead in with Minnie, and I can't tell the difference. I really can't. A lot of the times,
And I'm doing my job.
That's when it's really great.
All right, they gave me the flag, but I'm going to break the rules. One more. This gentleman had his hand up. Yes.
Yeah, before we break, could you go into character and give us a minute or two of improv?
I truly cannot.
I'm going to be Powerline concerts.
So you're up money, do you, kid?
As usual. If I don't get it from Mickey.
I have club. I'm not making it. Had 10 count items. You just get the best with what you could. And if you met a hobo,
Minnie, are you okay?
Barbara Stanwyck. She and I would go down to the corner and we would say, I want to talk to Disney. And Mr. Disney would come in and we'd say, won't you owe me $20? And that sheepo would be like, this was 1922. There was no keyboard. It was barely even born.